Michigan today in a Sunday matinee at the Chrysler Center. Yes, sir. Welcome in to the Michigan basketball post-game live show. I'm Dennis Fithian. Great to be with you on this Sunday. Yeah, it was all U of M today. You know, Michigan was a heavy favorite in this game, and they played like it in front of their hometown faithful coming home in game number 16 on the season. Michigan, U of M, and UW. Michigan a 14.5-point favorite in this game by the odds makers, and they got up double figures. They're up by 9 was their high mark, but right at the end of the half, they got up by 10, and that was their high mark. They led at the break 48-38. Only thing you could say about the first half is that there was some foul trouble by Michigan's front line. Wolf, Golden, and Cheddar all had 2 fouls apiece, and Cheddar ended up picking up his third. But it was interesting. Most coaches, whether it's a rule or a law, and sometimes you'll break your rules but don't break your laws, that if a key one of your players, your starters, and really anyone gets 2 fouls, they'll sit for the remainder of the half. Michigan could have gone deeper into their bench, but Dusty May was playing Golden. Then he played both Wolf and Golden towards the end of the second half, with both of those guys with 2 fouls apiece. But if you want to call it a gamble, the gamble paid off. They played well, they contributed, and they didn't pick up their third. Now Cheddar did. But that was a little bit earlier. They had to go with something there, and they get to the break up 10. Did Michigan, and into the second half, it felt like a matter of time. But the refs had a bad afternoon. You know, they don't always. I mean, they're human. They were calling it bad both ways. And, you know, at times, you know, you're looking at it through maize and blue glasses. You're thinking these guys are really against Michigan. And then they had 2 or 3 in a row that was like, they're just bad. They're just having a bad day. Not that they're bad refs. They're just having a bad day. Maybe they're bad refs. I don't know. But so they got involved. You know, it was a ref kind of game. But U of M did stay up double figures, and they really, you know, they bloated up. They looked like they were going to get up 20-25. And, you know, they end up winning this one by 16 in the end, which, I don't know, it's a cover. I don't know if that was for some, maybe 1 or 2 people. They're going to jump on Michigan minus 14.5. That made it interesting for sure if you had to win by 15 points. And Michigan ended up winning it by 16, 91-75. That's how it went down. Now, I had heard this earlier in the week, and then I heard the broadcast crew before call the Golden Wolf, Vlad Golden. When you go to Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, you put it together however you want to call it. But Golden wears number 50 and Wolf wears number 1. So Area 51 for the combination of those two instead of the Golden Wolf. And you get it, you know, a restricted area, you know, Area 50, comma 1, Area 50, just pause 1, or just Area 51. And you know what people are talking about. I'm with it. I'm feeling it a little bit. So, you know, and I just heard that this week. So that was a little fresh for me. Well, look at the box score in this game and how everyone ended up looking for Michigan. Spoiler, they look pretty good. You know, most of Michigan's players all game long, and this one no exception. I've got the Ken Pom rankings, and Michigan is the highest rated KenPom.com team, and Illinois lost at home, a team that Michigan beat, to USC, a team that Michigan beat on the road. And so now Michigan is number 24, Michigan in the polls. They have they're in the top 10. They are at number 10. So yeah, it is impressive for Dusty May's team what they are doing as this has gone on. Whether your expectations, it probably has changed. You know, it went from Yeah, it'd be nice to see this, team make the NCAA tournament. And it was like, it would be nice to see this team, compete for the Big Ten. Jess Settles said it today. Jess, the sharpshooter from Iowa back in the day, he was talking, well, if this team shoots well, they could, vie for the Big Ten conference title this year. And then he said, this team shoots really well. They could make it all the way to the Final Four. And, hey, you're talking about it now. You're mentioning it. When you play like this team is playing, you have the record that this team has you have the record that they do, and they're playing the way that they are. You are going to start talking about what's next, and not that is a something where you say, oh yeah, they better win the Big Ten or they better make the Final Four. It's just, there are things that you think about now with this team. And I would say that this team starts with the big fella, Vlad Golden, where he might be getting better each and every game that he's out there. He's all of 7-1. He plays the pick and roll. He can get the ball moving towards the basket. He's got a back to the basket game. You saw him using his 7-1 reach just by being able to tip and kind of bat balls to himself, block shots, dunks. He can use the glass effectively. 19 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists for the big man who knocked down a 3. His stroke looks good from out there, and his field goal percentage is unbelievable. He was 6 of 7 from the floor, and he makes his free throw 6 of 8. I mean, like this Vlad Golden is something else. I would also say, maybe I'll say each and every guy, I'm not going to say there's something else. Namari Burnett had, I thought, one good game last year, and it was game 3 out in the Garden, and really it was just a half where he looked like Dwayne Wade, and he scored like 20 points, and he looked like the best player in the country. He didn't look like that at all again last year, maybe in a couple spurts, but nothing where it was a whole half, and certainly not a whole game. Burnett is a different player now with the guys that he has around him. He fits in well. He had 1-3 where he gathered himself, was able to use a step back kind of slide over motion to get his 3-pointer up, and he knocked it down. How about Namari from the floor? 6 of 6, 4 of 4 from downtown, 16 points, 2 boards, and 3 assists. How about that? Roddy Gale Jr. was back and may have played his best game for the Maize and Blue. I think it was a knee that he was dealing with, but he was back and he was in the starting lineup. 15 points, 4 boards, and an assist for Roddy Gale. Danny Wolf, you look at the box score and you say, Danny Wolf didn't have that good a game. He dominated this game. He was throwing fancy passes. He was bringing the ball up and knocking threes down in guys' faces. He was the man, really, today. Danny Wolf, the Wolf of State Street, is a star. He is worth the price of admission to tune in. Him and Golden together, Area 51, has Michigan sitting. I don't know if they're not on top of the college basketball world. They're sitting there somewhere thinking, why not us up at the top, being at the top of the college basketball world? That's how well they're playing. Danny Wolf, 11 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, and, they don't have him for a block, and that's surprising because I thought I saw him get a block like in the first play or second play of the game. Trey Donaldson, the star of the game against UCLA, 6 points, 5 boards, and 6 assists. And, you'll take that. And the bench, you had a Sam Walters sighting. Sam Walters, 3 of 6 from downtown. You'd like to see that. Walters, once in a while, getting into double figures. Cheddar getting into some foul trouble. But everybody likes Will Cheddar, and 7 points, 2 boards. Justin Pippen got in. He hit a 3. He had 5 points. That's a career high for Pip, who also had a board and an assist. Kason, who had the great exhibition half, barely played, came in right at the end for a minute. Reuben Jones was out there, and he played some minutes. Didn't get in the scoring column, but had 4 boards and 2 assists. But all in all, Michigan was a heavy favorite. They played like it and looked pretty good. Scott calls it a solid effort. He is asking if Golden is an NBA player. I will say yes. Now, I think the question is Golden a first round draft pick? And the answer right now is if he plays in the second half, we're right at the second half. If he can play well in the second half, he's showing that he's got an outside shot and that he can make a three-pointer. That's going to be big for NBA scouts. Also, he has showed a toughness. Remember at the beginning of the year, he would have the ball a few times and he would miss a layup, and people were saying, dunk the ball, big fella. Well, he has been doing that. He's been punching it, and he has been a dominating factor, a dominating force in the paint. And I would say that if he continues this trajectory, I could see him getting into the late first round. But yeah, you're a mobile 7-1 player who can score, and there's a place for a guy like Golden in the NBA. How much more he can show that he can shoot from outside will tell the tale if he gets into the first round, or if he's just going to be in the NBA and then he, try to find his way without being drafted in the first round. That's the way I see it. Danny Wolf has been awesome. Scott asking if Sam Walters can turn into Duncan Robinson. Well, that's what he wants to be. Sam Walters, before he ever played for Michigan, was asked about his role with the team and what kind of player he wanted to be, and he said a Duncan Robinson type. And Walters can shoot. This was his best game for Michigan. If he can come in and provide some scoring from downtown, well, now you're really talking about a team that has another bullet in their gun, that's coming off the bench. That would be good. Here's I don't know who this is from, but the comment is a late second rounder. Yeah, right now, if we're breaking it down, saying a late second rounder, I wouldn't argue with that. Randall says he doesn't see him getting drafted. Right. I don't have a problem with that. What I'm telling you is that if he plays, I've seen some flashes where he even stretches, even some long stretches now over this past month. I don't know if you've watched every game. It's been different from the first month to how he's played this last month. He's taken a gigantic step forward. He's one of the better players in the country now, talking about Vlad Golden. His play, his ability where he can move forward and he can score with either hand, and he can also be physical and dunk. And you see him with the block shots. What I'm telling you is that if you want to put him in the second round, you don't say you see him getting drafted. I would put an up arrow, like if you had 50 prospects, if you had 75 prospects, wherever you wanted to put him in there, if you were putting a draft board on there, I would say today, wherever you have him slotted and you've been watching him, I would suggest putting an up arrow next to his name, because that is how he's playing. And if he played in long stretches like he has over this past month, you will see people say Vlad Golden is popping up on people's draft boards as a late first rounder. I'm just telling you, that is how I see it. My man, MGO Blue 1234 says he hopes Pippen doesn't transfer. He'll get a lot more playing time next year. Well, I don't know why he would transfer. He is the first freshman off the bench, and he's Michigan's, his trajectory. He continues to get more and more playing time. So I would say that he has put himself in an excellent position. Now, you could say something about Fat Brooks, who doesn't play, or even Kason, who blew up in that half of the exhibition game. You could say, well, I hope those guys don't transfer because they are behind Pippen. But, hey, with the way things work and the guys in and out and they don't like them, who knows? But I wouldn't think Pippen, he's in a nice spot. So that would be silly for him to go, at least as I sit here right now. Jason talking about beating Michigan State. They're getting hot too. Yeah, well, Michigan State and Michigan might be the two best teams in the Big Ten. And if you look at KenPom.com, where Michigan is ranked at 10, you got Illinois, who lost to USC yesterday, sitting there at 12, and then Michigan State at 13. Michigan State beating Northwestern today, right? So, yeah, I mean they're all right there, and it's great. That's great to see Michigan. That's the number one thing, playing well and being in the mix and being in the top 25. And they'll shoot way up in the polls the way that they've been playing and everything else. And yeah, playing against Michigan State, those games will be awesome. Dennis says Vlad has to stay. He's an overseas player. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, he can't stay. He's out of eligibility. Everybody can come back to Michigan next year with the exception of Vlad and Reuben Jones. He's exhausted his eligibility, but that's it. Scott was talking about the lineup of Area 51, Cheddar, Gale, and then Walters. Yeah, you go 7, 7, 6, 10 across the front line, and then you also have Cheddar and Gale. That's a beefy lineup that Michigan could line up with most NBA teams. Reuben Jones was great. Checking the other player, I think, is what he's talking about from Washington. Yeah, Reuben Jones can play some D. And then following it up with talking about Burnett being one of the best open shooters in college basketball. Yeah, right. Namari Burnett, the way he has played, it's been, I'd say, a super shock, but the way he's contributed, it is nice. Derek is talking about making another push for a cuff. Getting him, Trey McKinney, and Danny Wolf would be special. Well, a cuff signed with Arkansas. I'm making a push after a guy is signed and is not going to play another game. I don't, I suppose anything is possible out there, but I don't think that there's any more push for a cuff. Great player from the city of Detroit and everything else, but that ship sailed. I would say that if he goes and does not have the kind of freshman year next year at Arkansas, the possibility of him leaving then, there could be something. But talking about getting him after he signed before he's ever played a game, I don't think, that would be it. Vlad will need a year or two. Yeah, hey, everybody can have their opinion. And I would say having an opinion on Vlad being like, he's never going to sniff the NBA or it's going to take him a couple of years and he won't get drafted. I don't have any problem with people saying that. I am just telling you that, again, up arrow next to him, the way that he's playing as of late, he is putting himself and he is making. Now, I don't know, maybe you guys are scouts. Maybe you have your own draft board. Maybe you just look at a lot of draft boards and that's your thing. Well, if you do the latter, then you understand that players, as the season goes on, there's going to be a lot of fluidity to those draft boards, and these people will start talking. And what they're going to start talking about is Michigan. And what's making Michigan go is their 2 7-footers. And yeah, Danny Wolf is versatile and he can shoot. He's, he's like the Joker light from Denver. Nikola Jokic, who he's been compared to. But Vlad Golden is a skilled 7-1 pivot for the Maize and Blue who has been dominating college basketball. And he is flashing some range as well. That's going to raise the eyebrows of NBA scouts, where they're going to be taking notes and they're going to continue to move them up. So just keep an eye on that as we sit here today. That's it. And here we are talking about Wolf leaving after this season. Probably, I would say, look, if Danny Wolf goes out there and continues to play like he is, then maybe he will go. And maybe we'll start seeing his name pop up somewhere. Remember, you don't even have to be a first rounder anymore. Guys that are close to the first round, they end up getting guaranteed deals too. So if you're in the top, what are there, 30 NBA teams, you're in the top 35, 40. You think about going a little bit, I don't know, I would say it's a little bit too early to talk about. It's never too early to talk about. You talk about anything. If you're here and you're a fan, you talk about what is interesting to you. I'm interested to see where Michigan is going to be ranked. And I'm interested now in talking about Michigan potentially competing to win the Big Ten. I'm interested when I hear a broadcaster like Jess Settles with Michigan staying undefeated in the Big Ten, going 13-3, and Settles talking about the Final Four. Just mentioning it, that's in the at least realm of possibilities now. That's not something that you say and, you get laughed at or something like that. If you were saying it before the season, I would have laughed. Like, okay, it was cool off, dusty. But not now. Not when you play like this. Not when you are demonstrating each and every time out on the floor. When you play like this, that is not something a laughing matter at all. Let's check that upcoming schedule. That's nothing to laugh about. That is brought to you by the Maize and Blue Review. Hey, why not? You're a big basketball fan. You want more basketball coverage. You want to talk about basketball all day, all night. You want to do the same thing on the football side. Well, give yourself or that Michigan fan in your life the gift of the Maize and Blue Review here for 2025. That's the way to do it. That's a nice resolution. You want to see more Michigan information. The way you do it, you go to michigan.rivals.com and you sign up. You get instant access today. All right, here's that schedule. Let's look at it. Michigan, they are going to, is it already? Today's Sunday, the 12th. So Michigan all the way to Thursday. They will be up in Minneapolis. They will take on Minnesota in a 7 o'clock tip. I don't mind that. FS1. The Gophers sitting there at 500 on the year. Northwestern lost today. Michigan will bring them in a week from today at the Chrysler Center. And then there you go, looking ahead, kind of almost a week off for Michigan before they travel to Purdue. That'll be a must-watch game. And then Penn State got a pretty decent record. If you're playing it out, looking at the upcoming schedule, Michigan will host Penn State. So at Minnesota, hosting Northwestern next week before heading to Purdue and then coming home to host Penn State. Let's pick these games. I've got Michigan winning at Minnesota. I've got Michigan winning. What am I doing? Michigan, I would think that they would beat Northwestern. Now, going on the road to beat Purdue, I would say I'm going to call this one an L. I'll put an L here, and then coming out. So 3-4, you'd say, come on, they could win. Boilers ain't all that. They're overrated. Okay. We'll be able to find out about that. So, but 3-4 isn't all that bad. Taking a look at it. I'll look through some of the final comments here. It was nice to have Roddy Gale back. They saying Wolf's not ready. Yeah, it's not always if you're ready. It's about if you think you could get paid and if the time is right for you to maximize how much money you're going to get paid. And, other guys have different ways to look at it and things like that. Derek asking, this is a good question. Could Michigan beat Auburn, Duke, and Kentucky? I have not watched much of Kentucky, but I have watched Auburn and Duke play. I would say that Auburn and Duke clearly are better than what I have seen from Michigan, but you're talking about the top teams in the country now, and what we're looking at here. So can I think Michigan can play with those teams. I'm very impressed with what Auburn brings to the table, and I would say the same thing about Duke. But Kentucky's a top 5, top 6 team. I'm looking. I watched Iowa State yesterday. Florida looks pretty good. Tennessee, Auburn, and Duke. I got to say, it's a little early for me. I don't know. I feel like I've watched more college basketball in the past than I have this year. I think it has to do with the extended bowl season with college football. Usually when college football is over and then they just have like the Final Four is like a month off. Well, then, I just dive in and I just watch college basketball all day. It hasn't been like that for me. You get the NFL playoffs. And so I don't know. I'm not making any excuses or apologies. I'm just telling you the way it is. I haven't watched as many of these teams, but I have watched Auburn. And I definitely have watched Duke. I watched Duke yesterday. Duke is on more than Leave It to Beaver reruns. I don't know. That's an old joke. I don't know if anybody even gets that one. I think you got to be over 50 to know that joke. Adam asking Gale, or Adam saying Gale played well. What's up with Walter shooting every time he touches the ball? Well, he's a shooter. So that's it. He is a 3-point shooter where if it's open, he has the green light. That's his game. So, yeah, it's going up if he gets it. Will Michigan pass Illinois in the ranking after Illinois and USC lost? Well, Illinois, that's a good question to ask. And Illinois was ranked at number 13. So Michigan is going to make a huge jump. Are they going to jump all the way up to 13? I mean, like I said, they were ranked. They're the highest ranked team in Kem Palm. They're going to shoot up there. Are you asking me? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say if I'm voting, and I had an Illinois team that is 11-3, and I got a Michigan team that is 12-4, and I just watched a Michigan team go out and beat USC, and then I watched that same USC team and a week later go into Champaign and beat Illinois. I'm dropping Illinois, and I'm moving Michigan on up. So, yeah, Michigan's going to be in the top 15, and Illinois is going to be on the outside looking in there. So, that's it. Yeah, SEC is pretty crazy. I'm with you on that. SEC, yeah, boy, look at them. Look at all those teams that are sitting there. Adam, he's talking about some of the low percentage ones. Yeah, well, today was his best game. There have been some times watching Walter shoot over the last week or two. It's like he wasn't providing anything else. And so you're thinking, okay, the only thing you can do is shoot. Then he wasn't making any shots. So he wasn't doing anything else other than like rebounding, defending, handling the ball well. And he wasn't shooting well. It's like, okay, you know what? But then today he shot well. Oh, but I hear what you're saying. It's like he gets it. It's going up. Well, that's him. And maybe, you look at the shot selection if you're Dusty and say, hey, maybe Sam, you shouldn't want to shoot that one. But I was thinking as I was watching him today that I liked all of his shots. And he doesn't, I think over the last 2 weeks, I felt like he doesn't have a perfectly square shot. He's kind of off or he's kind of diagonal when he shoots it. And then he kind of leans forward sometimes. And I felt like he didn't have his, the right, I didn't feel good about him and his whole setup and follow through and everything. But today I liked it. And then when you say he's shooting with more confidence, he just, not that he felt more square. It just felt more fluid as he was going up there. And of course, then, he made a couple. I don't know if that biases me or not. Right? It's like, oh, hey, that one looks pretty good. And then he'd make it. And if he would have missed all of them, I'd be like, I don't know. His shot and his whole thing's off. So I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about. CK wraps it up here, and he says, it's more about if the refs will let the 7-footers play than it is if they can beat Duke, Kentucky, etc. Ask the refs. Well, if you head into a game thinking that the refs are going to screw you, you're going to get screwed, CK. I would suggest if to look at it like this, that there's going to be probably 12 calls in a game that if you were sitting with, let's say Michigan was playing Duke, that you would be, and for Duke, it seems like it's even more, because if Duke, you almost have to sign up for everybody getting a couple fouls and them getting the calls. It's because they're the Yankees, they're Duke, so they're going to get some of those calls. So you already know that, which makes you upset even before they jump it up. But so you have to know that as a player, and you have to rise above that part. And so thinking about whether it's going to be on the refs or not, you can go in there, you can still play your game, and it should be an advantage when you have these 7-footers like that. So it's almost works against you. And other fans are like that. Oh, well, if the refs call it right, we're going to win the game. Some of the calls can go, and I don't think that the refs are necessarily on the take. I just think they screw up. And a lot of the calls that when we're watching on TV, sometimes I've reffed myself, and I know sometimes you're standing 5 feet away and it's in your quadrant that you're looking at, and you don't have the best vantage point. Even though you're making the call, it looks like a foul. People on TV are like, you suck. You don't know what or you anticipate a foul like some of the guys were doing today. I don't know. Whatever you want to say. Yeah, ref sucks. And Duke gets more foul calls. And again, you know what I'd say is that, no, CK, today, the refs, it was worth mentioning that they weren't very good. But if you're going to watch a game and it's going to give you so much a problem that the refs are effing you and they're going to screw you, and these guys are on college basketball might not be the game for you, because there's at least a dozen of those calls that you're rolling your eyes and you're thinking that that they're screwing you. And and then if it's Duke and it's Cooper Flack, not only is it Duke, but then you get the golden boy and Cooper Flack. He's going to get a couple fouls, and everybody's automatically thinking that the game is is being influenced, not only influenced but controlled. And the result is predetermined by the officials. College basketball might not be the game for you. That's what I'm saying. If you go in, but look, I don't mind talking about anything like second round picks, favorable, unfavorable whistles, Final Four. That's why we're here. Have a little fun doing it. And you can see that lit my fuse a little bit. I was ready to go. Let's start talking. I will talk with you coming up tomorrow on this very feed that you're watching or listening to right now. Good afternoon, Michigan football and basketball. Former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli will join us. We'll talk about the national championship game, Michigan and their pursuit in football of rounding out their roster, what lies ahead from them, and maybe some thought or two on Michigan basketball, as they look like one of the better teams in the country now. They're playing like that. It is a final. Thanks so much for watching. You know that by now. Michigan looking as, I don't know, as good as ever. It was the last time they looked like this. They are 13-3 and 5-0. They win at 91-75 over Washington. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's going to do it here on the Maize and Blue Review.